Namaskaram. We are introducing you CA Siddhant, who has got AR 6 and AR 12 respectively in his inter and final. And we had a very productive discussion initially. Please go back and watch that video before you watch it. Now, this is about understanding the mindset of a ranker versus repeater. Now, this I can correlate. Again, I got a rank in CAA, but this is very different. The whole scenario is how can you utilize the limited available time to reduce the time period of study in CA. So for me, when I had to clear all my levels in the first attempt, and over and above that, this is far more harder to get ranks here. So that is a perspective Siddhant is adding here. And for a repeater, it's a lot of struggle. You have to, it's not easy. I would say, I think Siddhant, we can agree that clearing in the first attempt is the easiest rather. So for a repeater, it's a lot of struggle. So we have Ratna who has cleared group 2 last attempt, and you must have seen her Vijay along with her husband. And we also have Apurva who just have 3 papers left to clear her CA. Both of them will become CAs if they clear three papers. So let them have a conversation and understand what exactly is the perspective between these two, and let's see how it goes. So Ratna, first question to Siddhant.
Hi Siddhant, congratulations. May I know how do you manage your time in exam?
In the exam.
Yes.
So I think it's a very relevant question that we have, especially for CA exams, because it's limited. You have 3 hours or 4 hours for IBS. So the first thing is that managing time, again, like how you revise a subject, is something that you should actually practice. And the best way to practice that is by actually giving a lot of mocks. So the best way I managed my time in my CA final was going in with a blueprint, going in with a plan that, okay, I'm going to attempt this section first, then this, and then this. And I know for a fact that this will work because I've already done it in mocks. You don't want your CA final being a mock in itself. So for me specifically, I gave like three mocks a subject. Audit and IBS I gave 2. But in that mock, I was not really looking at my marks. I was fine. Okay, I got 60, 70, which are very good scores. But I was not looking at the marks per se, but I was actually looking at the process. Okay, in this mock, I'm going to attempt MCQs, then descriptive, and then maybe the question one, which is your compulsory question. And I'm going to analyze. I spend probably equal amount of time analyzing my mock than in giving my mock. So 3 hours and maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours in actually analyzing. So in my analysis, I used to note down, okay, how much, where did I make more mistakes? So if I'm attempting MCQs first, am I getting more relaxed? And for me personally, what I found was in the beginning, my mind is more fresh. So I'm able to take a little bit more load. So I would like to attempt the more difficult question, which I'm confident of. It's a strategy which not many follow. People say easy first and then the later you do the difficult one. But this was more personalized to me. And how I discovered it was by doing mocks. So going into the exam, I knew, okay, this question, then this question, and this question, because you can predict, okay, financial instruments question will come, revenue will come. So you know that, okay, I'm going in with this pattern. So you spend the time you have to, reduce the time you have to spend on that in your reading time. So that way you're able to manage your time effectively in your exams. So that mocks would be my one word answer to that question.
Hi Siddhant, congratulations. I am Apurva. So I'm also a repeater actually. So I'm the one who have already worked in the corporate and come back to the to my hometown, and now I'm refurbishing all the basics and all such things. So this is the process I'm going through it right now. So as Sir said, I'll be asking a general questions, general frequently asked questions to a ranker, such kind of things. First questions: what is your daily schedule and routine? And how would you, what was the percentage of coverage of syllabus in all the 6 papers since your ranker? And percentage of syllabus coverage. My third question is that um, the recollecting, how the recollecting, how many times you have revised, and there will always be a dry areas in every subject. It could be an IBS or it could be an what you call auditing, a digital auditing. Yes, yes, there will some certain dry areas. So how would you focus on that? So and how many revisions have you have made in the whole process of securing a rank?
So first question again was I just missed that question one. What are the first
Yeah, daily routine, your daily routine.
I'll answer that one, then we can move on.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So with regards to daily routine, I'm a morning person, always have been since school days. So I've tried to implement that in CA final as well. Steadily, specifically, my daily routine looked something like I would wake up at around 5:30 in the morning, 5:36, preferably 5:30, and start off immediately. So one thing I've noticed is from the time you get up till the time you study or you sit to study, there shouldn't be much of a gap. because the more you allow yourself to wander in those first 10-15 minutes of the day, the more difficult it becomes to get back your attention, right? So to maintain attention is easier than to actually bring it back from some place that you're not, wherein you're not paying much attention. uh, that would be one. So I started off at around 5:30. If I get up at 5:30, it means I'm on the study table at 5:45. And so I would like to answer your question in parts. This first specific one, the first part in your revision one, right? You're still getting used to things. Now FR you've done 1.5 years back, AFM also 1.5, 2 years back. So you may not really remember. So you can't directly jump into recollection. You first actually need to understand it and then recollect. So first revision, I never rushed myself. I had a specific time. Okay, I have to finish FR in 11 days. I know I have to do this topic today. But I was a little liberal with myself to say that, okay, give yourself time. It's okay to spend time here rather than, waste it and do it later all over again. So 5:30, you get up. I studied. I would never. Another thing which many people tend to do is count the hours of studies. I never did that. In fact, for me, what worked was I actually removed all clocks from my room. I never watched the time on my phone nor on my laptop. So for me, time was not existing. That kind of eased the burden on me because I knew that, okay, if I'm spending 2 hours on the first 10 pages, I can finish the next 10 also in 1 hour, right? So I would be done in 3 hours. If I looked at the time at the end of 2 hours, I'd actually see that, oh, I'm done with 2 hours, means I spend another 2 hours. And then I get demotivated then and there. So that is one thing which worked for me. So I can't tell you exactly how many hours I studied, but in the beginning, I would say 8 to 10 hours effectively was on a very happy day that I would be very satisfied with myself. So then I would, lunch. My social media was restricted. I found that if I delete it completely and I cut off, I get a bit of that FOMO. So what I started doing was I actually used the web browser for Instagram because you can't scroll much on Reels on the browser. So I would just see what's happening. 2 minutes, I'm done. So that was it. And again, yeah, 8 to 10 hours more majorly in the morning. So start off with what's more difficult in the morning, and I tried to do one subject at a time, not necessarily pick up two. If it was SPOM, maybe I'm feeling a little bit more energetic today. I do SPOM in the evening. But this is broadly how my schedule looked like. Yeah.
My question too was like how percentage of covering the syllabus.
Percentage of covering the syllabus. Okay, so uh, firstly, my target was, if I'm being very honest with you, 480, 490. I knew that, okay, 480, 490, I cannot go below 90% coverage. Now, for me, the next question was, how do I decide what is that 90%? Right. So, I would look at, I did look at ABC analysis, but I never, said that, okay, I have to do A, B, and skip C. So I just saw it to get an idea, but never to understand that what I'm going to skip. It was only to understand what I'm going to do better. So regarding the coverage now, I'll go subject wise. For FR, honestly speaking, I would say that I covered around 95% syllabus because this is something I applied in statutory audit in my articleship. So I liked it. So I was willing to go that extra mile and I wanted to score high here. So 95% approximately in FR. AFM, I think that came down to around 90 reasonably. Theory is someplace I focused on in AFM where people may not generally focus because I felt that that is where it is actually a gold mine because you have three chapters, say startup finance, securitization, and you have financial strategy. These three chapters, short question is coming, and it's easy to prepare AFM theory because we just know subheadings, you can go and answer. So AFM theory is something I focused on. Practical, like everybody does, I focused on all the chapters. I did not skip. Maybe sometimes Black Scholes model, I forget the formula. I don't stress over it. I'm like, okay, there's a very less chance that that's coming. So in that aspect, I never skipped a chapter, but maybe within chapters, sometimes some things which are too long and they're taking a lot of time, I'm like, okay, this we can keep aside. But I never skipped a chapter in FR and AFM because I knew this is my strong point. I cannot afford to lose here. Coming to audit, audit was a roller coaster because it was. I mean, ironically, I am doing audit in my articleship, and yet it was the subject I feared the most. I still fear to this day. But yeah, audit for me was coverage wise, I would say 80%. 80% of solid coverage. Maybe like you mentioned, digital audit. That is a chapter which, for us, unfortunately, it came from the last page, and I did not prepare the last 3 pages. So I prepared the entire digital audit, but was not able to really attempt it in the exam. So yes, there are these gray areas, and how I used to view it was not something that I'll completely skip, but maybe attempt it or revise it at the end. So you can present an answer, yeah, we can question the execute that there will be correct. So in that aspect also we can right, right. Correct. So audit में that 80% was my focus, ethics majorly, essays, and then the other non-essay based chapters. I did not do maybe investigation chapter that well. I didn't do digital audit that well. These were the two chapters which I was not confident of at all. But other than that, within the chapters, I had skipped a few. Yeah, yeah, yeah. At least I tried to. Then after that, coming to DT. So DT is in many aspects, I would say, as vast as FR, maybe even more. In fact, more vast than FR. And it is also a subject wherein you don't get a lot of repeated questions. FR, you know that okay, 115, something similar will come. They might change a few numbers, but they will not give an outrightly new question paper. DT, you go in knowing that it's a new question paper. You go in knowing that whatever you've practiced may not repeat. So keeping that in mind, okay, understanding the exam, studying the exam before studying for the exam, you understand that okay, DT is a subject wherein I cannot afford to skip. Like I cannot because I don't know what he's going to ask. Even in an ABC analysis, you'll see 10% weightage to 15 chapters. Now in that, how do I know which chapter is going to come? So DT, honestly, I would have prepared 90-95%, which is not something that I thought I could say. But I always strive to do that. I never, gave up. Okay, let's skip this. No, let's keep doing it. But one thing which I could probably say in DT is I spent more time on the provision than actually solving the sums in the class. But after that revision time, I reduced that, which is how I was able to focus on more provisions at once. So that would be around DT. IDT again 90%. IDT I think is fairly simple, or compared to DT for coverage is reasonable to expect yourself to do that much. Maybe the latter parts wherein you have a lot of assessment related chapters that I did from chart books, but I did not skip anything outrightly for IDT.
I think it's less what you call complex than the
Correct, correct.
It's often said that DT is like your ocean.
Right, right, very true. And having swam in that ocean, I can agree with that. But IDT, like that was my thing. IBS though.
Yeah, how often, how many, how, so to secure a rank, so when did you start your preparation? So,
okay, so
proper preparation, thoughts about the taking classes or something else.
Right.
Your proper day one
Study leave.
preparation. So, yeah, study leave till writing exam.
Right.
So, what was the duration in between? And how many revisions you could able to do it? That's another question I would like.
So for me, because I was doing articleship at EY, study leave was a constraint. Like I wouldn't say a limitation, but a constraint that okay, I cannot take as much as I want. Right. So for me, my May attempt, I got my study leave around December 6th. December 6th was my first day wherein I didn't. From then I knew I didn't have to go to office. So that roughly puts it around, you can say, 5 months, 4.5 to 5 months. And within that study leave, I would say maybe for excluding the last day before exam revision, I was able to do 3 to 4 revisions of each subject. And another thing which I would like to highlight for this is I did not make my plan on my first day of study. My plan was made 2 weeks before study leave, and it kept going changes every single day. So it took me 2 weeks to actually plan the rest of my study leave. But I felt those 2 weeks were very important to give myself direction, to know where I have to actually put those efforts in. So then, I picked up one chapter at a time. FR I picked up first. It took me around 14 odd days. Spent that time, gave it that time. But I would treat revision one as revision and not something which many people try to say as vision. You're just looking at it and then you'll think about revising the next one. You don't have that much time. So I spent time understanding. Next day I also revised because I did not want to waste those 14 days as okay, just conceptual understanding. So that was, I think, FR, AFM also 2 or 3 revisions because these are practical subjects. I felt for me, I was more comfortable doing that multiple times. Yeah, correct. Audit, I can't really give a number because if I'm counting the revisions, I'm doing less. I cannot afford to count the revisions of audit just to give myself that false sense of satisfaction. If I'm able to revise it in one revision is enough. If I'm taking 10, 10 is enough. So I would not put that number on audit. But yeah, DT, IDT, three revisions.
Okay, there might be some other students who would like to secure rank in future. So, how many subjects you have completed? At least preparation or going to coaching classes. Something, some knowledge or as on date of your leave.
Okay.
So, what was it? How many subjects did you go to? All subjects coaching and whatever self study you have done. So, from December 5th, whatever you're saying, you started reading any subjects which have started freshly.
Okay,
So this
understood.
is the first time I'm reading the subject. I have
Right,
no
right,
idea in my 3 years of articles.
Right.
Was it that situation, or you covered all the 6 to 7 subjects before starting your preparation for finals?
I think there was a third option. I had completed my subjects and also one reading along with the subjects. So I think
starting the
before my study leave. So it is non-negotiable. You cannot do a subject for the first time in study leave, because if you think about it actually very rationally, my articleship started in August, right? August to December. How much time do I have? I have 2 months and what? Two. Yeah, I have like around 25, 27 months or for my preparation, right? Now, in that, if I actually divide among my five core subjects, how much am I getting? I'm getting 4.5, 5 months per subject. So, where is that time going? Why am I having to compromise on my study leave? You should genuinely ask yourself that question, right? You have a lot of time. And now that it's six subjects, you have two SPOMs as well, but you have six subjects. I think it's the biggest blunder if you're actually taking a subject into study leave, because it's very difficult to shift from that mindset from one subject to another. Now, say I'm doing FR for the first time. I've already done AFM before. If I'm doing FR for the first time, my confidence at an all-time low because I'm doing it for the first time and I know I have an exam in 5 months. It'll be a little difficult to switch back to AFM where I'm already done classes and one revision. So I would want all my subjects to be at a uniform level. Obviously, there are weak points, but at least more or less it should be uniform in terms of classes. So to answer your question, yes, classes before study leave non-negotiable. 1 week before study leave, I was done with DT, and that was only because the Finance Act came out a little. The second Finance Act came, so I had to take DT classes later. Otherwise, I would have been done probably 20, 25 days before my study leave started. So that was my thing.